Hi, I'm George Norrie, and welcome to our Coast to Coast AM YouTube channel. Have fun, tell your friends, and share us with everyone. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Coast to Coast AM's mobile app. And always remember to log on to our website at coasttocoastam.com for daily articles, the best paranormal information, and all you need to know about your favorite guests. And now you can become a Coast Insider directly through the Coast mobile app. We welcome our international listeners and even offer a free 2-week trial. So don't delay. Become an insider today. And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. Samuel Chong back with us, certified court interpreter and Chinese translator. He has interpreted a number of books from Prophecy, the Revelation of H.M. versus Stuck. And he has taken these messages in order to give people hope and help promote a better world through his scholarship. Samuel, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me again, George.
My pleasure. What got you involved in these interpretations of these books?
Well, I was always fascinated by space and the paranormal when I was young. I thought if the ETs could contact us and we can just learn from them to get as much information as possible about technologies and the mysteries of the paranormal, so that we can just solve all the mysteries. And so I stumbled upon this book, THIAOOUBA Prophecy and 334 Lies, and I thought it's a good idea to have them translated into Chinese and English so that more people can read them. So that got me into translating these two books into Chinese and also from German to English.
How old are these books, Samuel?
Well, the first book, THIAOOUBA Prophecy, it was written in 1989 and got published in English in Australia in 1993. And the second book, 334 Lies, it was originally published in German in 2001, and then I had it translated into English just last year.
So relatively new books.
Yes, relatively new books, yes.
And the authors of them, they are where?
Well, THIAOOUBA Prophecy was written by Michel Desmarquet. He was a French-Australian who passed away 4 years ago. And the second book, the autobiography about the highest chair of the Illuminati, he actually disappeared right after he finished writing this book. So no one knows where he is at right now.
And this ET technology and knowledge, tell me where you got your information from these books or elsewhere?
From this book, actually specifically from the book THIAOOUBA Prophecy, because it contains so much information that we can actually verify.
Let's talk about some of the technology that they might possess. And do we have any of it now?
Well, interestingly enough, they revealed some technologies that every one of us can incorporate and utilize for our own benefit. But there are also other technologies that need specific kind of research and development in order to incorporate the technologies. But there's something that we can actually do to help us, like to improve our health and also well-being.
And you're a staunch believer in both, aren't you?
Yes, I do. I believe that the information contained in this book can really benefit us spiritually and also materially.
Well, with Samuel Chong, his websites are linked up at coasttocoastam.com. ET technology, what does that mean to you?
To me, it means that the technologies that we haven't been able to develop or commercialize or promote it to a wide spread audience. There are certain ET technologies that are withheld by certain group of people, for example, the military or special interest groups, that people like us haven't been able to really take advantage of them. But I think certain technologies, as written in this book, should be promoted on a wider scale.
Now, the ET propulsion systems, what do you think it is? I mean, how are they able to travel such vast differences? They're doing something different that we obviously can't do.
That's right. They're able to travel a long distance in such a short time because, according to this book, THIAOOUBA Prophecy, they first travel at a speed faster than the speed of light, a few times faster than the speed of light, into deep space. And then in deep space, they used what they call transubstantiation or teleportation to immediately transfer themselves or teleport themselves into another location in deep space. And then from that location, they travel again at a few times faster than the speed of light to reach their destination, their own planet.
Are they constantly in touch with you, Samuel?
No, because I actually would like them to only help me when it is absolutely necessary, because I really want to take full advantage of my lifetime to really grow and to respond to my life challenges, because that's the best way to learn. When you're given a meal or when you're given the solutions to a puzzle or a problem, that's probably not the best way to learn or to remember. I really want to learn it on my own ways without their intervention.
Couple areas on this planet that have been fascinating to all of us: the Great Pyramids of Giza and the Bermuda Triangle area. You've looked at both of these through the eyes of ETs, haven't you?
That's right. I was very curious about the Great Pyramid and the Bermuda Triangle, so this book provides the answers. And regarding the Great Pyramid, it really resonates to me that it's actually a tool or energy center that captures cosmic energy and also terrestrial energies, so that people who use the Great Pyramid correctly could actually communicate with ETs on other planets, and also to explore parallel universe. And also, like according to this book, the ancient Egyptians also used the Great Pyramid correctly to make rains and to moderate weather. And I found that to be very interesting because there are scientists, modern scientists, that also show that the Great Pyramid is an energy center that can actually do a lot of wonderful things. And they also used what they call organ energy to make rain and to moderate weather.
Modern scientists are using that now, so they picked that up from that kind of technology.
Exactly. So that's very interesting.
It really is. They ionize the clouds with it, don't they?
That's right. That's actually done by scientists from the University of Reading in the UK, and they did a lot of experiments and successfully.
And what do you think the Bermuda Triangle is, Samuel?
Well, according to the advanced, beautiful ETs from THIAOOUBA, the Bermuda Triangle is actually entry to a warp or a portal to a parallel universe. So people, ships, or planes that are near that area got sucked into this portal. And I think it's really interesting because it can actually explain a lot of the cases, the missing 411 cases by David Paulides, in which
people just disappear.
They just mysteriously vanish in national parks. I mean, it's so strange that they disappear in clustered areas. And also the rescue dogs don't pick up any scent. And also, people in a group, just one person within this line of people just suddenly vanish.
And you don't hear them scream or anything. They're just gone. Right.
And corpses actually are found in inaccessible places. And also there are cases in which when the corpses are found, they found that they walked to their bones. So this actually matches the account of Michel Desmarquet, who actually went inside of the parallel universe and actually saw what went on inside of everything.
Samuel, have you been aboard an ET craft?
No, I have not, but I'd love to when I have the chance.
Would you go if they asked you?
Yes, I would definitely go, like Michel did.
What if they didn't bring you back?
Well, I would be very happy because to Michel Desmarquet and to me, the Category 9th planet is actually just like a paradise. Everything is so perfect and so loving and so compassionate. And the people there perform all the miracles that's performed by Jesus Christ as documented in the Bible. So they could do everything that Jesus Christ did. And I think that would be a perfect place. I wouldn't want to come back, actually.
You really wouldn't?
I really want to go there, yes.
But you wouldn't matter if you stayed there?
It doesn't really matter because...
I'd miss my family, I think.
Well, Michel Desmarquet thought that he would miss his family, but he didn't. He forgot his family.
No.
And he did. He forgot his family.
Oh, my God.
And actually, he didn't want to come back. They actually didn't tell him that he was coming back, and he felt really, really sad after he was told that he was coming back to Earth.
So he has written this book, THIAOOUBA Prophecy.
That's right.
And this is based on his experiences with ETs?
Exactly. And he documented everything that he saw, he witnessed, he heard, or he experienced. So it's a very detailed account of his personal experiences of traveling to this planet called THIAOOUBA or Jehovah for 9 days and then came back.
It's too bad we've lost him.
Yes, 4 years ago.
He also wrote about a time machine. Tell me about that.
Well, according to the THIAOOBans, the U.S. government was actually developing a time machine at that time, I think in the late 80s or earlier than that. In the very beginning, through the Philadelphia experiment, when they found that there could be a distortion of time and space when they project a certain wavelength of frequencies into the ships. So they say that the U.S. government, the military, was actually making a mistake. They were actually trying to adapt to the wavelength, which is a mistake. They should have adapted to the vibrations of the Akashic records, which rotates around Earth like at 7 times the speed of light. So people with practice, they can actually go inside of the Akashic records and look at what happened in the past, in history. So this is actually can be done by people who are highly spiritual and who have the power to do so.
It is fascinating how that works, isn't it?
Yeah. But going to the future is another concept. And it's another thing that, well, our actions decide what future is going to be like. So we can actually see certain probabilities that's going to happen in the future, but it's not a fixed projection. We really need to act in order to determine what the future is going to be like exactly.
What's easier, going back into time or going into the future?
Going back in time is much easier than going into the future.
Huh. And you believe that the future depends a lot on consciousness and things like that?
Exactly. And the THIAOOBans, they can only see about 100 years or so to the future. They cannot predict what's going to happen more than 100 years ahead of us.
That's still a long ways out anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, so we really need to get it going and to mend our ways, because actually the book, THIAOOUBA Prophecy, is not a book of prophecy. It's a book of warnings, just like the book of Enoch. When Enoch was told to write a book, and he did so, and he was taken away by Jehovah or God. And a few decades later, Noah was told to build an ark, and Noah was a great grandson of Enoch. Michel Desmarquet, the author of THIAOOUBA Prophecy, was also told to write this book. And he said that what Enoch described in the book of Enoch is very similar to what he actually saw on the planet THIAOOUBA or Jehovah. And similarly, you can imagine what's going to happen a few decades later. And I think this is a very kind of a parallel comparison between Enoch and Michel Desmarquet.
Tell us about this anti-gravity technology that you came upon.
Well, according to this book, the THIAOOBans, they're really kind of adept at incorporating anti-gravitational technologies in everything that they do. For example, when they travel within on their planet, they used like a traveling vehicle, which is like a small hand device that neutralizes the what they call cold magnetic forces of their planet. And they say that if you raise your vibrations to a higher level, the vibrations can actually neutralize the gravity of the planet. So similarly, the same technology can be developed on Earth. And actually, I personally think that the government has already developed the anti-gravitational technologies.
Are they using it now, do you think, Samuel?
Yes, in some of the secret government programs, trying to reverse engineering the technologies of the grays, and also trying to get their own advantage from their competitors.
You've seen the videos shot from the USS Nimitz from the jets, right?
Yes, I've seen that, yes.
Tic Tac videos. Is it possible that those craft are ours?
Yes. This is a very interesting question because there are ways to distinguish the crafts that are really ours and also the crafts that are real ETs. One way to distinguish them is that our crafts are actually mostly triangular in shape, and the ET crafts are more like spherical shaped, and they kind of give the people a more kind of comfortable and loving experience, in which our crafts sometimes they try to imitate or project like a scary experience to the people that they abduct. I think the real ETs, they are spiritually developed, in a much more advanced level, that they don't want to invade us at all, or they don't want to cause harm to us, because otherwise they wouldn't be allowed to travel to other planets. Using a similar comparison, like we traveled to the moon about 50 years ago, but we never went back. The reason, according to Michel Desmarquet, is that we were warned off from the moon. We were still fighting against ourselves, like among ourselves. So we are not ready. We were not ready, and we are still not ready to explore the universe, to other planets, because we're just going to pollute other planets. They don't want us to really cause any harm to the inhabitants of other planets, so they would do everything possible to prevent us from, for example, landing on the moon again.
By warding us off the moon, why?
Because, we have a lot of intentions that are not necessarily good for the harmonious, like the universe or other inhabitants on other planets. If we keep fighting against ourselves, that means that we would fight other ETs on other planets. They wouldn't want us to happen. And they would prevent us from going to the moon again or to explore other planets. I mean, even if Elon Musk wants to travel to Mars or maybe to go to another planet, I don't think that's going to happen, because the ETs are going to warn us and to prevent us from doing that so successfully.
Our guest tonight is Samuel Chong, as we are talking about the THIAOOUBA Prophecy, the Golden Planet book. It's an incredible story. Would you say that the author of the book, the Michel, was a prophet? I
wouldn't say that, because he was actually a landscaper, a farmer in Australia.
Oh, really?
He didn't have a lot of education. He didn't go to college.
Just got visited, I guess, huh?
Right, he got visited, and he didn't know how to type, and he didn't know how to use computer, not to say that he could surf the internet. He didn't know how to do any of those.
So it's not like he knew a lot about what he was going to be talking about.
That's right. He was just kind of faithfully reporting what he was told and what he saw and experienced. And I met him twice. He was dictating to his Vietnamese niece when he was writing emails to me. I mean, I witnessed how he communicated with other people all through his niece who typed everything for him.
Fascinating. Samuel, explain once again to people just tuning in what the THIAOOUBA prophecy book is all about.
It's a book written by the author Michel Desmarquet, who in 1987 was taken by this group of beautiful 9-foot-tall, highly advanced ETs and to their planet for 9 days, and then came back. And he was told many of the mysteries and the paranormals on Earth, and also the solutions to our current-day problems. And a fascinating book with a lot of detailed and specific information that the readers can really verify.
How did you come across the book?
Well, I really wanted to unveil all the mysteries of the universe and the paranormal. So I wanted to find that out by receiving such information from ETs that are highly advanced, so that we can actually take the shortcut to not to waste a lot of time do our own research. And I found this book on Amazon, and it has all the answers to my questions.
You stumbled across it like that?
Yes, accidentally.
Well, that's amazing. And it captured your attention, didn't it?
Yes, it really answers all my questions regarding, for example, the stories in the Bible and also ET technologies, and also what we do in life, the purpose of life, either reincarnation, and how we respond to the challenges that we all face in life. So it's really like a comprehensive book that is like answers everything.
Let's talk a little bit about how they have recommended we take care of our physical health. What are some of the ways?
Yes, they emphasize that there are indeed human energy fields of people, that some people can actually see the colors of auras. Some people call that auras. And they kind of can predict what's going to happen to us physically. So it actually shows the changes of colors before the physical symptoms manifest in our physical body. So the way to really see the auras is actually to use the third eye. Some people meditate and be able to develop this kind of ability, and some others just have this kind of natural gift, such as Barbara Brennan, a former NASA scientist. Yes.
Now, these colors tell you what?
The colors tell the person's intentions, but also personality, and also a lot of the health conditions. For example, like there's a person, my friend Roger, he can see the colors of auras, and when he sees like there's a grayish area, like around the liver area, so maybe 3 or 4 months later, the physical symptoms would appear that the liver would have some kind of problems. So that's kind of like a way to predict what's going to happen. So you can actually make it go away before physical symptoms happen by like healing the to make the colors go back to the normal colors.
Now, do the colors do the healing, or do they just tell you what's good or bad about yourself?
Both. When people see the colors of auras, they can tell whether it's good or bad about you. You can also at the same time incorporate the colors to moderate or maybe to improve the colors of your auras. So this is the importance of color therapy, or some people call it chromotherapy, that was very popular in the 1920s before antibiotics were developed by the pharmaceutical companies. So there are a lot of studies and experiments done by scientists. For example, like just recently in 2016, Harvard Medical School had a research study on the color green to the effects of migraines. It found that the color green or green light actually reduces migraines on the people who participated in the clinical experiment. It is so effective that the people who participated in the experiment requested them to give them the LED green lights free of charge because they really want to use the lights at home to reduce their migraines. So this is the color green. So there are other colors that have other effects on people. I can elaborate on the color pink, which is very interesting. Is that
sure? How does that work?
Yeah. So in the 1980s, San Bernardino County Probation Department did an experiment. They painted the walls into pink color, and they found that the children tend to relax and stop yelling. And so similarly, in 1979, the U.S. Naval Correctional Facility in Seattle, Washington, also did a similar experiment. And they found out that in about 15 minutes after seeing the color pink, the inmates, they actually had a complete cessation of hostile, erratic behavior. And also, there's other interesting implication or application of pink color by a football coach from the University of Iowa by the name of Hayden Fry. He painted the visiting team's locker room in color pink because he knew the color pink could reduce muscle strength by maybe like 30% or so. So he didn't lose any home game in many years of coaching at the University of Iowa. So this is a very interesting implication or application of the color pink by a football coach.
What about blue? What does that do?
So blue reduces suicide, as evidenced by experiment they did in London. They painted the Blackfriars Bridge into color blue and found that the suicide rate reduced by multiple times. And blue light also has antibacterial, antiviral effects, as shown by a research study by Harvard Medical School.
Interesting.
And this is also the color that they used to disinfect Michel Desmarquet after he went into their spaceship.
Now, what did they teach him about death and passing to the other side? They
say that there's reincarnation, and they actually showed Michel Desmarquet his past 80 lives. Life is actually a learning process in which we accumulate spiritual lessons in each lifetime. By experimenting or experiencing pain, suffering, or happiness, we accumulate this kind of lessons that we send to our higher self. And when a person dies, the astral body of the person leaves a physical body, taking away all the spiritual lessons learned in the lifetime. It's a very interesting experience. It is a very interesting phenomenon. Is that after a person dies, it goes through a life review process in which the person reveals how he or she did in his lifetime. Like he could feel all the things he did himself or onto others. He would be able to feel how others felt when he or she acted in a certain way. So, and then the person would evaluate him or herself, how he or she did in the lifetime, and then decide whether to reincarnate and what kind of families to be reincarnated to. So this is the purpose of life. So there's nothing to be afraid of death. And when our family members pass away, if they did well in their lifetime, fulfilling their life mission or purpose, then there's nothing to be worried about because their spirits or their souls are always with us, and they remain forever in the universe.
Yeah, what do they say about the souls, Samuel?
They say that the souls are really, in their words, like higher selves that elevate or move up to the ladder by purifying the experiences. What they mean by that is that we experienced everything in our lifetimes on Earth, but we need to learn to elevate ourselves more spiritually in order to have the souls purified so that we can move up to a higher category of planet. There are a total of 9 different categories of planets in the universe. We on Earth are living on Category 1 planet. They, the THIAOOUBANs, are on Category 9 planet, which is the highest category in the universe.
Now, with some of these reincarnated people, they strongly believe that happens, don't they?
Yes. In fact, there are a lot of scientists and psychologists that show that reincarnation actually exists. For example, Dr. Brian Weiss, Dr. Ian Stevenson, and even some of the families that have babies born that have memories from the 9/11 event. They remember what happened on that day, like how they died. So this is actually evidence of reincarnation. The reason that the Bible doesn't really talk about it is that it's really removed by the Catholic Church councils. The book THIAOOUBA Prophecy specifically named the 4 different church council meetings that intentionally removed certain things from the Bible, the ancient scriptures, original scriptures in the Bible.
Fascinating work, to be sure. Let's talk about the financial challenges facing the planet. They even address that, don't they?
Well, they did. They say that there's a small group of financiers that are controlling everything behind the scenes. What we see, the politicians fighting against each other, Republicans, Democrats, they're actually just for shows. They're just puppets controlled by this small group of financiers. So we really need to look at what's really going on behind everything. We need to wake up and not to be really influenced by the media. We need to be able to have more independent thinking and to look at everything behind the scenes. They say to actually Michel Desmarquet told me that there are 12 families in the world that are really doing everything behind the scenes.
Fascinating indeed. And now you say that there are dangers to planet Earth, that there are various things that they've warned us about. What were they?
They warned us about the 4 different things. The first, number 1, the most dangerous thing on Earth is money.
Money, really?
Yes.
Dangerous?
See,
I guess in the wrong hands it can be, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there are natural ways to cure certain diseases, but the pharmaceutical companies cannot make money out of them. They cannot patent those natural ways to cure certain diseases. And also the petroleum companies, they want to suppress the clean technologies, the real technologies, such as the water-based engines. And also, like, if they cannot make money, if the government cannot collect the taxes, then they wouldn't encourage people to use this kind of free and clean energy. So everything revolves around money.
Everything does, doesn't it?
Yes.
What else?
And the second most dangerous thing on Earth would be the politicians. And
that may be true.
Yeah, unfortunately. And the third would be journalists and drugs.
Really? They put those 2 together in that category?
Yeah, I don't know why, but they did. They say journalists seek for sensational news, and they kind of influence people's psyche or people's mind in a very, very interesting way. I mean, like they tend to focus on the news that cause a lot of turmoil in people's mind, like the killings, the murders, and also suicides and the deaths. And they should instead focus more on the good news, the news that can motivate people, can really help people to be more compassionate, more loving people.
That's fascinating, to be sure. And what about the last one?
The last one would be religions. They say that religions
really?
are actually...
Be careful there,
yeah,
Sam.
They're actually curses on Earth. Yeah. So they say like religion is really different from spirituality. We should grow and elevate our spiritual development, but religions tend to distort the original intentions of the spiritual masters that happened on earth. And for example, the religious clergy, they try to be like agents between us and God. They say that when God created human beings, it inserted a tiny portion of itself to each one of us. So we are part of God, and God is part of us. So when we try to communicate with God, we should actually focus on communicating within ourselves, like look inside our hearts for answers, because the kingdom of God is within you. And we should not depend or rely on religious leaders or pastors or the clergy, because we can just communicate with God directly. That's more effective, more efficient in doing so.
How important is meditation with all of this, Sam?
Meditation is actually extremely important according to the THIAOOUBAs, because that's actually one of the best ways to communicate with your higher self, which is part of God, the creator, the source, or the great ether. By meditating, you can actually calm your mind, and so that way you can really communicate more effectively with your soul or your higher self. And they actually encourage people to do that daily. And when Michel Desmarquet was on their planet, he saw the THIAOOUBAs, the Jehovah's, meditate most of their times. He found it fascinating.
It does work, Sam. Do you know how to levitate by any chance?
Well, I know how to do that theoretically, but I haven't really practiced it yet because it takes a lot of energy and efforts to do so. The way to do that is actually to meditate and concentrate in a way. And I know people personally who could do that when they were young. A friend of mine who is a Chinese Qigong master, and she actually was able to do that when she was young, when her energy level was high, but she cannot do it now. And actually, I also saw there's a film shot by a magician called Dan White, White, that when he visited a monk in Nepal, he filmed how the monk levitated himself. He couldn't figure out how he did it, but I think there are still some people on Earth who could do that just by meditation and also concentration.
What about secret societies? What does the book say about them? Well,
the book 334 Lives is an autobiography of the highest chair of the Illuminati. The 41st degree is actually the highest degree of the Illuminati. It used to be 39th degree. And some people, they interact with the lower degree members, but I think if they really want to get to know the heart of the secret societies, they should only read two books. One is the 334 Lives, and then the other book is THIAOOUBA Prophecy. Before I translated the book, I didn't really believe in any of the secret societies. I thought those were just conspiracy theories and people's imagination. I really took none of it. But after, I was searching for ways to see auras, I found this book, 334 Lives. And they were talking about, Forum, that this German book that showed people how they were able to see auras, and also to perform other supernatural abilities. So the gist of the book tells the history and the story of how that one person from a rural part of Germany rose up to the ladder, became the highest degree member of the Illuminati. And it talks about all the rituals, and some of the scenes are really graphic and torture scenes, and that are really only for adults. but it shows that how they're able to use a special form of astrology to predict what's going to happen to a person or to a certain group of people. They're able to calculate the positions of planets in an instant second. They're also able to perform other techniques such as mind control, and also how they influence certain politicians, and how the structure of the Illuminati is. For example, it says that the headquarters in North America was actually located in New York, and the headquarters in Germany was actually in a small city in Germany, and it gives a lot of specific details, but it really doesn't name any names because it would put the author in danger.
Why the title, 334 Lies?
Yes, 334. There's also a symbol of thousands lies. So, but if people search 334 lies on Amazon, they can find the book.
But I mean, why that title?
Well, it's a mystery. I don't really know. Being the translator myself, I don't really know. They have a very unique way of predicting certain things through numerology. So every number has a meaning, and I guess 334,000 has a specific meaning that waiting to be deciphered.
All right, let's go to the phones. Let's start it off by going to David, truck driving in Illinois. No snow yet, David, out there?
Howdy. Thank you for taking my call.
How's the driving? No snow yet?
Nope, no snow. It looks like it's cloudy, but I looked at the forecast before I took off. It didn't call for any snow tonight, but I'm running 94 and 90 all the way out to Washington. So, yeah, I'll probably run into it.
Well, be careful. Go ahead.
All right, well, I want to make a couple points that I disagree, but at the same time, I agree with your guest.
Okay.
I didn't catch his name.
Samuel.
Pardon me?
Samuel.
Daniel.
Samuel.
Okay.
Samuel.
Well,
Sam.
Samuel. Okay, I'm sorry. First of all, I was putting fuel on the truck, getting the truck washed and so forth, so I missed part of it, but I heard him say they took reincarnation out of the Bible. No, they didn't. If we listen to everything that the scriptures say, yes, it does. Now, God said the covenant was good for 1,000 generations. We go to Psalm 90, we listen to how it talks about we live 70 to 80 years, some live a little bit longer, then we die and we fly away. This is where we go up to the holy mountains. It's talked about in Ezekiel 40 through 46. It talks several spots about the regeneration of the Son of Man. Then it talks about Matthew 7:12. Do unto other men as you would want other men to do unto you. What you reap in this life is what will be done to you in your next life. It's a lesson for our souls. Now, where he was talking about God that dwells in everybody, that's what makes all of us part of the Son of God, because you listen to Colossians 1, we know, well, it's talked about in Corinthians where it talks about everybody is the temple of God. Then you go to Colossians 1, the blood of Jesus, which is Jesus, the Son of, is invisible in the image of the invisible God, which makes everybody the Son of God that can be seen, regardless of race, color, nationalism, size, or shape. Doesn't matter. We all are part of one Son of God.
Want to react to that, Sam?
I totally agree with you, and I hope all Christians believe the same way that you believe. Unfortunately, there are a lot of fundamentalist Christians and evangelicals that still deny the concept of reincarnation. And also, the book, THIAOOUBA Prophecy, actually talks about how in ancient times, the ETs intervened in our lives as documented in the ancient scriptures in the Bible. For example, the destruction of the Sodom and Gomorrah, leading Moses out of Egypt, leading Hebrews out of Egypt by Moses, and parting the sea of reeds was actually an intervention by the ETs according to the book, THIAOOUBA Prophecy. It also explains why the Bible doesn't have any records of Jesus Christ performing any miracles before the age of 30, and why there's a tomb of Jesus Christ in Shingo Village, Japan, with specific verifiable facts that are so detailed that people can look it up on the internet or by visiting Shingo Village, Japan. So I totally agree with you. And this book explains how the stories in the Bible came about and how the ETs, this group of ETs, the THIAOOUBANs or Jehovahans, intervened in our ancient past, trying to help us to the right path of spiritual growth.
Let's go west of the Rockies. Gina Maria with us in the state of Washington. Hi, Gina Maria.
Hello. Love and peace and healing, and God bless to everyone and everything everywhere.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So I wanted to tell you about 3 short experiences and how it all combines to possibly an ET technology, and ask him a question.
Sure.
So when I was 4 years old, I heard a sound, and I went to the window. I woke up, went to the window, and saw blackness with colors and shapes. And I heard the sound. And the sound is what's the important part of this, because somehow, I knew this was a UFO experience. And so I memorized the sound at 4 years old, and all those years told people about the sound throughout the years. And when I was about 25 years old, I heard the sound again on TV. There were these people that had seen a UFO and heard the sound it made, and they didn't have a video camera, so they audio taped the sound. Then they got a permit and these huge speakers, and on this show, they were trying to transmit the sound to outer space to get a hold of the UFO. And when I heard the sound, I knew it was the same sound that I'd been telling everybody about since I was 4 years old. The next time I heard it was in early 2020, when they had actually in November of 2019, and then, in 2020, they produced the sound to us for us to hear, which is a form of gravitational waves. And I believe that the gravitational waves were the UFO's propulsion system of the UFO that I heard when I was 4 years old and had that experience. And I'm wondering if he has ever heard this before. And one more thing, I levitated when I was about 5 years old down a flight of stairs in front of these little girls, and the little girls ran away screaming and upset and never talked to me again. And from then on, it was like something in my soul said, "Oh, you're not supposed to do that." And I have not done it since.
So what's your question, though, for Sam?
My question was, has he heard about the propulsion system, and could gravitational waves have been the propulsion system for the UFO?
The different ETs have different technologies, the propulsion systems. This group of ETs, they have kind of a very advanced form of technology.
Anti-gravity, don't they?
Yes, anti-gravity. And also they form a magnetic field around this kind of spacecraft, their own magnetic field, so that when they move at a very super fast speed, the people inside wouldn't feel anything. People don't feel that they're moving fast or slow. This is something that I find to be very interesting, because it seems that their technology is more superior to other ET technologies that I've heard from the Grace.
Let's go to Norm in St. Louis. Welcome to the program. Hey, Norm, go ahead.
Another great show tonight.
Super. They're all great, Norm. They're all great.
I know they are. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to. I've agreed with George for 20 years, but I got to go with your guest tonight on the idea of if you can get to a paradise, I'd go there in a heartbeat. So he can take my phone number down if they contact him. He can give me a buzz. I'll go with him.
They probably already know where you are, Norm.
I'm sure they do. Second point was. I think he was spot on with the assessment of problems of the world, with politics and money, whatnot. But I don't think it's so much money in itself as it is the wide gulf between the poor and the rich. There's 1% own everything, and they just had that Bilderbergs and WEF over there, or what it's called, Vagos or something, Switzerland, I think, and and they're all preaching this green Earth malarkey. And I understand we need to, we got one Earth, one sky, one water, but the thing is, they show up in Lear jets. They drive around in 5 miles per gallon, Lincoln Navigators and Lincoln Town cars and whatnot. Drive around picking up $2,000 women for the night. I mean, I'm not taking morality lessons from people that are not moral people. So if I'm going to get morals, it's going to be out of the Bible, out of Jesus, not from these people.
Well, you're probably right about that. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think it's important to really focus on what Jesus taught us in the New Testament, especially the 4 Gospels. And I think that's actually the way to live. To grow more spiritually, and actually I try to follow it to the letter, because love your enemies is really difficult to do. We all can get along with people who like us, but to love someone who doesn't like us, who is your enemy, is really difficult to do. But that's what's going to be more rewarding when someone passes on to the next lifetime. So I think it's very important to follow the teachings of Jesus.
Let's go back to the Great Pyramid of Giza, where you believe it is an energy center. Tell me more about that.
Well, it really is an energy center that can capture the cosmic energy so that the user, like the pharaohs in ancient Egypt, they used it by meditating inside of the king's chamber, and then to communicate to people on other planets, because they can actually focus their energy, and to the extent that they can really instantaneously get the messages communicated to the people on other planets. So they have this it kind of concentrates energy in a sense that it does miracles, and But according to this book, because of the shift of the magnetic poles of Earth, the current Great Pyramid of Egypt is not aligned well enough for us to use it again as the tool to communicate with other people on other planets. But whenever there's a civilization that has elevated spiritually to a certain level, they always build a great pyramid like the Egyptians did. There was another great pyramid on the continent of Lemuria before the continent sank about 14,500 years ago. That great pyramid was actually 3 times as large as the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And I think if we are spiritually grown enough, we can also do the same thing by imitating the pyramid in Egypt. The pyramid in Egypt was actually built by the person named Thoth about 17,000 years ago, over a 9-year period of time, using anti-gravitational technology and also supersonic vibrational system to cut the huge stones in a very precise manner. And I think if we handle those technologies nowadays, we can do the same thing. It's doable. It's just that we need to work on that.
Fascinating indeed. Samuel, give us your websites if you would.
It's chinasona.org/THIAOOUBA with the capital letter T. And people can search on Google my name, Samuel Chong, and THIAOOUBA to find more information about
CHONG.
and the book.
And we've got the link for you on the websites, of course. But these books that you've been talking about tonight, are they still available to people?
Yes, they're still available to people. And actually, reading these 2 books are the best investment I ever made in my entire life. I studied economics and studied the financial investments of Warren Buffett and Jim Rogers. But I think these 2 books are the best investment I ever made so far.
How were you able to get the books translated, Sam?
Well, I'm a Chinese translator, so I translated Michel Desmarquet's book from English into Chinese with the help of others. And for the book 334 from German to English, that's actually a secret how I did it.
How'd you pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because I was going to read it, and I thought it would be necessary to translate it into English, not only for me to read it, but also for others who want to know the secrets of the Illuminati to read about it.
Walter in Pennsylvania gets us started. Go ahead, Walt.
Hi, George. George's conversation is very similar to the one we had about a week ago. George, I've always wondered whether biologically it's possible to travel at or above the speed of light because, as we all know, Einstein said that clocks stop at the speed of light or time is suspended. Now, that also includes our biological clocks. So at the speed of light, would our EEG and our EKG flatline? And isn't that exactly what is happening or what was done to Ted Williams? Ted Williams, you might say, is traveling through time and space without aging. He's in a state of cryogenic suspension where traveling at the speed of light, as Einstein implied, would put us in a state of space-time suspension.
Well,
so,
he's dead first. Before they cryogenically froze him, he died.
Well, exactly right, George. Well, you have to ask yourself, is it possible to live without aging, George? That's the question.
That is a good question.
Would traveling at the speed of light automatically kill you?
I don't think it would kill you, but it would slow down your aging process to be sure. Samuel, with the propulsion system of the ETs, have they learned how to bend space and time?
Yes, they definitely have through teleportation, but they can only do that in deep space. Otherwise, the spacecraft would have exploded. So they can only do that in deep space for some reason. And also regarding the time issue, they create their own magnetic field around their vessel so that it kind of isolates the vessel from the theory of relativity. And also, one other information is that the THIAOOUBAs, the Jehovah's, they can live forever because they can regenerate their bodies at will. So they always look like in their 30s, very beautiful and very youthful-looking people. And they never age because they're highly advanced people. And on Category 9 planet, they can just live forever.
Let's go to Jody in New York. Welcome to the program. Hi, Jody.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Samuel, thank you for your work. It's very interesting. I just wanted to ask you, also, I had a question about aging. I get a sense that we're not supposed to age and that aging is just wrong. It's like an abomination or a false mindset or an implant or something. So my first question is, I was wondering if the THIAOOUBA said anything about us aging, separate from the other person's question about aging, through the time barrier, but just in general, living here on Earth and aging. And then the second question is, you mentioned the 12 families that are running the planet behind the scenes and how money and greed and they're killing everything because they're so greedy and all of that. How do we heal from that? How do we get out from under their thumb? Has the THIAOOUBA mentioned anything about that? And the last question is, did they mention that there's anywhere on the planet specifically that has the highest vibration, that if somebody went there, it would be the most healing? Those are my questions, and I thank you very much.
Okay, regarding aging, well, it really depends on the category level of the planets. On Earth, we are a Category 1 planet, so on average, we live up to about 100 years on average. On Category 9th planet, they live forever, so they don't age at all. Interestingly enough, there's a very interesting specific fact in this book about Jewish people, the Hebrews. They originally came from Category 3 planet. So you remember in the Bible, they recorded that the Hebrews, they lived up to 900 years or over, in the very beginning, but then gradually they kind of reduce their longevity by the hundreds up until like us. So I guess it's just my conjecture. My guess is that it has something to do with the category of planets. The higher the category, the longer that we can live. And for us, we have to learn how to live and die for about 100 years or so. The second question regarding the 12 families, and I think the book, THIAOOUBA Prophecy, and the book 334 Lives, both books give a solution, which is the power of the people. Through collective and concerted actions, we can use nonviolent resistance to rise up against tyranny, just like Gandhi did in India, and also what Martin Luther King promoted. Because if you think about it, we, the poor people, will lose very little if we have a strike or something like that. And the wealthy, the super wealthy, the 12 families, they will lose the biggest, the most, because they benefit from enslaving us. If we act together in a non-violent fashion, resisting their control, then it's going to work very well. And your third question regarding the location on Earth, it really doesn't mention about the vibrations levels of different locations on Earth. However, it really just tells us that life is a learning experience, and we should fully utilize and take advantage of the challenges that we face in life to respond appropriately to the challenges in order to elevate our vibrations. So we don't need to really focus too much on where to live, as long as we focus on how we respond to the challenges that we face in life.
Let's go to final calls here. Thank you, Jody. Appreciate you being part of the program. John in Mississippi, first-time caller for us. Hi, John.
How you doing, sir? Look, I got something that bothers me every day, and I read the Bible, and I kind of figured something out, I believe.
What's that?
I believe that the Rock of Gibraltar, as legend has it, where Samson spread the earth apart at, and they got all these titanium plates down there. Well, they say wherever there's titanium plates, there's volcanoes in the Mediterranean Sea. Well, if that's the volcano, that's called Hades. And I believe there's an alchemy cult. You know, Lucifer and Satan. Anyway, the alchemy cult, like the game Jenga, where you pull out that piece of wood and everything falls. I believe they're going to destroy 25% of the planet, just like the Bible says. They're making war against the two prophets. I guess that's Muhammad and Jesus. But Jesus is God, you know. But I believe that the Bible says, or the Quran says, the two prophets.
Yeah, I partially agree with what you said, because the purpose of the author 334 Lives of writing the book was actually to warn people about the organization, the Illuminati. When he was the highest chair of the organization, he was leaning towards more like a symbiosis relationship between the Illuminati and the non-members of the secret society, like a more harmonious relationship for all people on Earth. But he was like the reason he disclosed everything was that he found out there was another person, like a younger person, more powerful than him in psychic abilities, in supernatural abilities, that was trying to take over him. And his idea is more evil, more like splitting the world, causing wars, causing conflicts. So he was trying to warn us that we should be careful, and the power of the people is what they're really afraid of. So even though they have supernatural powers and abilities, they're afraid of the collective consciousness of the people, the mass.
Next up, we've got Ben in Wisconsin. Hello, Ben. Take it away.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
George, you used to talk with someone who there was a buried pyramid, in a sense, west of Denali Mountain, which used to be Mount McKinley. And he's talking about, Samuel, that the Giza pyramid is perhaps not in the right position now because of the transition of the Earth. Can we count on all this? Because there's so many things, the connectivity of these positions now, and has it really changed? And what's happening with our change?
What is happening, Sam?
Well, it's just a natural change because of the shift of the poles. So the Great Pyramid of Egypt is no longer aligned correctly to be utilized as it was used in the past. But I think with our collective efforts, we can also use technologies that we had in the past to build another one. And I think when the time is right, we are going to receive help from the ETs.
You think they'll help us or not? You really do, huh?
Yeah, I think they're helping us, guiding us throughout history, like using this book, for example, and also the stories in the Bible, and just indirectly because they never served a meal on the plate.
Next up, let's go to Leonardo in Minnesota. Welcome to the show. Hi, Leonardo.
Hello, George. And forgive me because I think about Bill all the time. And hello, Mr. Samuel. I just wanted to share my story with you, Mr. Samuel. I think that a lot of the things that you said tonight, they really touched home because I do believe that there's life outside of our planet. I've had my own experiences that I won't go into with some of that stuff, but I will just share what I shared with the person who was trying to figure out why I was calling. You really touched home when you talked about the God within all of us. By accident, in my life, I've always said that to people. People in my community where I live at, they've always thought I was crazy. And I said that God always has placed a piece of itself in all of us. And I said, we are all God. And people thought I was crazy by saying that stuff. And I've always lived my life by that. I had a stroke by accident. I lost my job, and then I went through 2 interviews, and they kept hiring me for collections, and then they put me in their claims department, and things wouldn't work out. Then they moved me to their collections department, and then finally they said, you're not catching on, and they let me go. And so the second job that happened on, I was in my bed, and I'm laying in my bed, and a light came up in front of at the bottom of my bed, and I kept trying to figure out. I said, am I dreaming or am I awake? And then I realized it was an angel. She spread her wings, and it was like she was going to snatch me out of my body. And that whole day, I still kept trying to figure out, was I dreaming or was I awake? And I went to work, and I got let go of, and I know. And then I realized they took me to the hospital, and I had a stroke. And I know that these things do not happen by accident. So I totally believe, and everything that you were sharing today really, for me, touched home because God is within all of us. And I'm not a religious person. My mother's Christian. My father had passed away, was Islam. It's kind of funny how they met each other, but everything that you said, Mr. Samuel, really touched home, and it touches my heart. And George, I listen to you every night, and man, you do not know the service that you do for everybody.
Thanks,
so, both of you. Take care.
Great statements. You take care of yourself too. We're wrapping things up here, Samuel. I want to thank you for being on the program again. Where can people get these books?
They can get it on Amazon by searching THIAOOUBA Prophecy. And thank you very much, everyone. This is the best investment you will ever make in your entire lifetime. Trust me.
Thank you, Sam. You keep in touch with us. Samuel Chong, the book he's talking about that he had interpreted is THIAOOUBA Prophecy. The Coast mobile app is now available for download on iPhones and Android devices. You can become an insider directly through this app. This is a great option for our international listeners, and new users will also receive a free 2-week trial.